On the 10th of Muharram, the sun was high, and the sands of Karbala were burning hot. In the middle of that desert stood one man, Hazrat Hussain Rayat. He had no army behind him, no weapons of power, no kingdom, no soldiers, and not even a drop of water. But still, he stood tall, because what he carried was greater than anything this world could offer. He carried faith. He carried truth. He carried the legacy of his grandfather, Prophet Muhammad. The world saw him as one man, but in the eyes of Allah, he was an entire nation of courage and sacrifice. He didn't fight for land. He didn't stand for politics. He stood for one thing, justice. And because of that, he gave everything. His home, his family, even his 6-month-old baby. Yet he never complained. He never turned back. Hazrat Hussain gave his life, not to be remembered with tears alone, but to remind us that truth is worth any price. This video is not just about a historical event. It's about a spiritual journey, a wake-up call for every heart that still beats for justice, for honor, and for Allah. So listen closely, because now we will walk through 10 powerful lessons from the life, the pain, and the courage of Hazrat Hussain Rayat, the hero of Karbala. Lesson 1: stand for truth. Even if you're alone, imagine standing in front of thousands of enemies, with no army, no weapons, and no help from the world. That was Hazrat Hussain on the day of Ashura. He knew he was outnumbered. He knew they had swords. He knew they came to kill him. But he also knew that he was standing with the truth. And when you stand with truth, you're never truly alone, because Allah is with the truthful. Hazrat Hussain could have taken the easy way out. He could have stayed quiet. He could have accepted the rule of a tyrant. He could have saved his life, but he refused, because silence in front of injustice is also injustice. He taught us that truth is not always popular. Sometimes truth is lonely, but it's still the truth. Even if your friends leave you, even if your family doesn't support you, even if the whole world turns its back on you, if you are standing for truth, Allah is on your side. That's enough. Hazrat Hussain showed us that one man with the truth is stronger than 1,000 men with lies. So ask yourself, are you standing with truth even when it's hard? Even when it costs you something? Because real courage is standing firm, even when you're the only one left standing. Lesson 2: honor is better than comfort. Hazrat Hussain had a choice. He could have lived a life of comfort. He could have stayed silent. He could have bowed down to Yazid, a corrupt ruler who wanted power, not justice. If he had done that, there would have been no war, no pain, no Karbala. He would have had food, water, safety, and peace. But at what cost? At the cost of truth, at the cost of honor, at the cost of Islam itself. And so he refused. He chose pain over comfort. He chose sacrifice over silence. He chose honor over survival. Because for a true believer, dignity is more precious than life itself. Hazrat Hussain showed us a believer does not bow to anyone except Allah. Even if the world offers you gold, status, or ease, if it means losing your values, it's not worth it. Sometimes, walking away from ease, leaving behind luxury, saying no when everyone else says yes, that is the real sign of strength. So ask yourself, are you choosing comfort? Or are you choosing character? Because Hazrat Hussain taught us, it's better to die with honor than to live with shame. Lesson 3: be strong in pain. Karbala was not just a battlefield. It was a place of heartbreak, a place where Hazrat Hussain watched the people he loved most leave this world one by one. He saw his brothers fall, His sons were martyred in front of his eyes. He held his baby, Ali Asghar, as he took his final breath. And still, Hazrat Hussain Era did not cry out in anger. He did not say, "Why me?" He did not complain to Allah. Instead, he bowed his head, and he said, "This is enough for that Allah is watching." Can you imagine the strength it takes? In moments of pain, most people break. But Hazrat Hussain Rai showed us what it means to have sabr, to have patience, even when your heart is bleeding. He taught us that no matter how dark life gets, how heavy the pain feels, if you stay patient for the sake of Allah, you are not losing, you are winning. Because pain is not forever, loss is not forever, but the reward of patience that lasts beyond this life. So if you're hurting, if life has tested you, remember Karbala. Be strong like Hussein. Cry to Allah, but don't complain about Allah. Because behind every pain, there is a purpose. And behind every tear you hold back for His sake, there is a reward waiting in Jannah. Lesson 4. Trust Allah even without water 3 days. No water, no food, not even a single drop for the children. The heat was unbearable. The cries of thirst filled the air, from babies, from women, from the elderly. Hazrat Hussain Ray watched it all, his family suffering, his people weak, with hunger. Yet not once did he raise a voice in complaint to Allah. Not once did he say, "Why us?" He trusted that even this painful test had a reason. He knew that Allah sees what we cannot. And Allah's wisdom is beyond our understanding. In today's world, when things go wrong, we question, we doubt, we complain. But Karbala teaches us something different. True faith is trusting Allah, even when nothing makes sense. Hazrat Hussain Rai taught us, even if your hands are empty, even if your children are crying, even if your heart is breaking, never let go of your trust in Allah. Because when you trust Him in your thirst, He will reward you with rivers in Jannah. So whatever hardship you're facing today, remember this. If Hussain Rai could trust Allah without water, you can trust Allah in your struggle. 2. Because His help always comes. Not always when you want it, but always when you need it most. Lesson 5. Raise your family with Imaan on the plains of Karbala. Hazrat Hussain Rai was not alone. His sons were with him. His nephews were with him. Even his little baby, Ali Asghar, was with him, wrapped in a cloth, thirsty, innocent, yet still part of the sacrifice. But here's the most powerful part. They didn't stand beside him in fear. They stood beside him in faith. His sons didn't run away. His young nephew Qasim didn't hesitate. They knew they might not live to see the end of the day, but they chose to stand for truth. Because this was not just family. This was a family of Imaan. Hazrat Hussain Rai didn't raise princes of the world. He raised lions of Islam, young hearts full of courage, love for Allah, and readiness for sacrifice. And that's a lesson for every parent today. You can give your children wealth. You can give them comfort, education, and success. But if you don't give them faith, what have you really given them? The strength of Hazrat Hussein's Ira family came from their connection to Allah, from their trust in the Akhirah, from their love for the Prophet, and their belief in justice. So, if you want to protect your children, don't just feed their bodies, feed their souls. Teach them Salah, teach them the Quran, teach them who Hussein was and why he stood, because the love of Allah will carry your family further than any money, status, or fame ever could. Believers, raise Husseins. Raise lions of La ilaha illallah. Lesson 6. Build a legacy, not just a life Hazrat Hussain Ra knew. he would not walk away from Karbala alive. He knew the swords were real. The thirst was real. The enemy was too many. But even then, he stood firm. Why? Because he wasn't living for this world. He wasn't building palaces or chasing fame. He was building something far greater. A legacy of truth, of courage, of sacrifice, of faith that would echo through generations. And look at us today, over 1,300 years later, and we still cry when we hear the name Hussein. We still feel the pain of Karbala. We still find strength in his story, because Hussein, Ray, didn't just live. He lived for something that would outlive him. And that's a question for all of us. Are we only building careers? Only chasing comfort? Only worrying about this short life? Or are we building something that will last? Your legacy is not what you leave in your bank account. It's what you leave in people's hearts. It's the truth you stand for, the values you protect, the faith you pass on to your children, the courage you show when the world goes dark. Hazrat Hussain Ray taught, you, even if your life ends, your message can live forever. So don't just live for this dunya. Live for something greater. Build a legacy. That brings light even after you're gone. Lesson 7 worship, even in hard times. It was the night before the battle. Hazrat Hussain Ria knew tomorrow swords would rise. His family would fall. He would meet death face to face. Yet, what did he do that night? He didn't panic. He didn't run. He didn't cry in fear. He stood in salah. He spent the entire night in prayer, with his head bowed before Allah, reciting Quran, making dua, remembering his Lord. Because for Hussein Ray, even on the darkest night, prayer came first. He showed us something powerful. No matter how big the problem, no matter how near death may be, Allah is closer. And when life feels heavy, when your heart is shaking, when the world feels like it's collapsing, don't scroll your phone. Don't run to people. Run to your prayer mat. Because peace begins in sujud. The place where your forehead touches the ground is where your strength begins to rise. Hazrat Hussain Rea could have spent his last night in fear, but he chose to spend it in worship. And through that, he reminded every believer till the end of time that the greatest power, the deepest peace, and the strongest heart all come from salah. So no matter what battle you're facing today, don't forget your prayer, because when you stand before Allah, no one else can shake you. Lesson 8. Accept Allah's plan with peace. He was a father, a brother, a leader, a grandson of the Prophet Muhammad. And yet, on the burning sands of Karbala, Hazrat Hussain Ray lost almost everyone he loved. He buried his sons with his own hands. He watched his brothers fall, one after another. And then, he lifted his 6-month-old baby, Ali Asghar, into the sky, hoping someone would give just one drop of water. But instead, the baby was struck. Can you imagine a pain deeper than that? Yet through it all, Hazrat Hussain Ra never said, "Why me?" He never questioned Allah. He never doubted his plan, because he knew that behind every pain, there is a purpose. Behind every tear, there is wisdom. And behind every heartbreak, there is a hidden reward. He taught us something we often forget. Faith is not just believing when life is easy. Faith is trusting Allah. Even when everything is being taken away. Sometimes, Allah breaks your heart, not to punish you, but to raise you, to purify you, to bring you closer to Him. Hazrat Hussain Ray surrendered to Allah's will, with dignity, with patience, with peace. And that's what we must learn. When life doesn't go as planned, when we lose what we love, don't say, "Why me?" Say, "Ya Allah, I trust you." Because every loss in this world brings you closer to what lasts forever. And when you accept Allah's plan with a peaceful heart, you're not weak. You are walking in the footsteps of Hussain. Lesson 9. Speak kindly. Even in anger, imagine this. You're standing in a desert. You're hungry, thirsty, tired. Your children are crying. Your family is being killed in front of your eyes. And surrounding you are the very people who are causing all this pain. Enemies with swords, with no mercy. People who betrayed you, lied to you, hurt you. Anyone else would shout, curse, scream, break down. But Hazrat Hussain didn't, even in Karbala, even at his lowest moment. He never used foul words. He never insulted. He never cursed. His voice stayed calm. His words remained pure. Even when talking to the enemy, he spoke with dignity. Why? Because true character isn't shown when things are easy. True character is revealed when your heart is breaking, but your tongue still chooses kindness. Hazrat Hussain showed us Islam isn't just what we say in prayer, it's how we speak. Even in pain, sometimes we lose our temper over small things. We shout at our families. We hurt people with our words. Then we say, I was angry. But if Hussain in the middle of the greatest tragedy, could control his tongue, so can we. Your words have weight. They can heal or they can break. And the strongest people are those who stay gentle, even when life sends single quotes so speak kindly. Not just when you're calm, but especially when you're tested, because that is the sunnah of the Prophet and the legacy of Hussain. Lesson 10. Bow only to Allah. The day was coming to an end. The battle was almost over. Everyone around him had fallen. His sons, his brothers, his friends, even his infant child. And now it was just him, Hazrat Hussain alone on the sands of Karbala, wounded, thirsty, bleeding, but still standing. Did he beg for mercy? Did he ask the enemy to spare his life? Did he bow to them just to survive? No, because Hussain only bowed to one, Allah in his final moments. He didn't scream. He didn't curse. He didn't cry in fear. He bowed his head in sujud and returned to his Lord with dignity, peace, and honor. This is how a believer dies, not with fear of people, not chasing the world, but with love for Allah. His last sujud in Karbala wasn't a sign of weakness. It was the greatest sign of strength. He showed us, you may lose everything. You may be alone. But if your last bow is to Allah, you have won. Because the world can break your body, but it can never touch your soul. If your soul belongs to Allah, so live like Hussain. Stand for truth. Walk with honor. And bow to no one but the one who created you. That's how Hussain lived. That's how he died. And that's why his name will live forever. Viewers, these lessons you just heard, they are not just stories from long ago. They are reminders, warnings, guides for every one of us. Because Hazrat Hussain didn't give his life so we would only weep once a year. He gave his life so we would wake up, so we would stand for truth, so we would walk with honor, so we would live, not just as Muslims by name, but as believers in heart, in action, in courage. These aren't just 10 lessons. They're 10 mirrors, reflecting back to us what it truly means to follow the path of faith, even when it's hard. So ask yourself today, which of these lessons will you live by? Which of these truths will shape your decisions? Will you just remember Hussain, or will you follow his example? Because the real tribute is not in the tears. It's in the transformation. Live like Hussain, die like Hussain, and meet your Lord with honor, Final dua, soft and heartfelt. Ya Allah, give us the courage of Hussein to stand firm. Even when the world stands against us, give us the patience of Zainab to hold our pain with dignity, faith, and grace. Give us the faith of Ali Akbar, so that even in the face of death, we smile, knowing you are with us. And give us the strength to stand for truth, even when it's hard, even when it hurts, even when we stand alone. Let our hearts never bow to falsehood. Let our lives reflect the beauty of Islam, and let our deaths be upon the path of honor. Ameen. Ameen. Ya Rab al Ameen. If this message touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Let your family hear it. Let your friends feel it. Let the world know what Hussein Ray truly stood for: truth, faith, and pure, unwavering love for Allah. Because remembering Karbala is not just about the past, it's about changing the present. So be the voice that keeps this legacy alive.